Welcome. I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you do me a favor, please subscribe to whoever you're listening. Please subscribe to whoever you're watching. It definitely means a lot to me. But what I want to do is I want to start this episode with, of course, acknowledgement. Last episode, when it dropped, after the episode dropped, unfortunately, we heard the unfortunate news of Dwayne Haskins, who tragically passed away at a very young age. I think he was like 25. It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. He was a standout at Ohio State. He's from the crib. He's from the Maryland, D.C. area. He played for the Washington football team. He was playing for, or he then moved to played back up for Pittsburgh. The one thing, man, you can't question God's work. You can't question God's timing. One thing that I will say and that I do love about this whole situation is the thing that I don't like, and the thing that kind of frustrates me is when people pass, or when people are at their lowest point and people find a way to highlight their lowest moments or highlight their lowlights. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the time for that. But what I do like is every story that you've heard of Dwayne Haskins, every single story, you've heard how much of a good person he is, or he was. I'm sorry. From his former college players to Washington football players to or Washington Commander players to Pittsburgh Steelers players, he was a good dude from what it sounded like. And I didn't know him personally, clearly, of course, but I do want to start my episode with rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins, and that was a tough one. That was a tough one because he was younger than me, so. It's tough. That's tough. But rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. I'll do a moment of silence for you. All right, so let's move forward. The NBA season, regular season at least, is over. And last episode, I gave my all NBA teams, my first team, second team, third team. What I want to do this episode, of course, is give my awards, give my MVP, give my most improved, give my rookie of the year. I wanted to highlight some of the best this year. And it's funny because this year was a lot different than any other year. Every single category was, I think, except for probably Sixth Man of the Year. Sixth Man of the Year was kind of locked up. Every single award or every single category, you can have an argument, and I'll discuss it. So let's start with the easiest one, in my opinion. Let's start with the Sixth Man of the Year. To me, there's been no other sixth man, or there's been no other player that has been as instrumental, as important, as good in their role as a sixth man as Tyler Hero was for the Miami Heat. Miami Heat are currently number one in the East. Now, I'm not saying it's solely because of Tyler Hero, but I think he averaged like 17, 18 points coming off the bench. He's been incredible, especially since especially coming off of what Tyler Hero looked like last year. Not saying he was bad last year, but he wasn't this. Tyler Hero has been incredible. Now, while I think that Again, this to me is the easiest category because there hasn't really been another person that you can kind of justify being the sixth man. So, in my opinion, the sixth man of the year goes to Tyler Hero. That is the only clear cut category in my opinion. Let's talk about one. Let's move on to the rookie of the year. And the rookie of the year, in my opinion, it's a 3-man race, but this 3-man race is crazy. And in my opinion, it is either Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, or Cade Cunningham. If you look at Evan Mobley's numbers, averaging 15 points a game, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Scotty Barnes, 15 points a game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Cade Cunningham, 17 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. In my opinion, when it's so close, why do I keep saying in my opinion? This is my podcast. When you look at these players and when the numbers, when the stats are kind of as close as they are now, you have to look at team winning and you have to look at other things that could possibly, sway your vote. In my opinion, why do I keep saying that? When the stats for Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, and Cade Cunningham are so close, then I look at this. I look at the winning. I look at who has impacted their team. Well, first, whose team is winning, and who's impacted their team most as far as their contribution on the floor is a direct contribution to winning. So that's why I take Cade Cunningham out of it. Even though he's had an incredible season, he really came on at the end of the season, especially after All-Star break. But all in all, again, you averaging 17 points a game for a Detroit business team, it's good. 17, 5.5, and 5.6. So I round up 17, 6, and 6. It was tough, but they didn't make the playoffs, Clay. It's the Pistons, I understand, but they did make the playoffs. So I think it's between either Evan Mobley or Scotty Barnes. And I'm going to have to give it to Scotty Barnes. One, because the Toronto Raptors finished above the Cleveland Cavaliers. And and Scotty Barnes' imprint on the Toronto Raptors has been like you can see it. You can see it. He's their best defender right now. Yes, you have Pascal Siakam, you have Fred VanVleet, but Scotty Barnes is their best defender, and he's a rookie. So, and I think they finished they're in the 5th seed. I think they're the 5th seed in the East, which is a gauntlet of a playoffs if you look at it right now. So, because of the win, and again, Evan Mobley has been great though. Evan Mobley has been nobody would have thought that the Cavaliers would even be in the plan, let alone have a chance to be in the playoffs, especially after losing Colin Sexton. But Evan Mobley's defense, his offensive around the rim, his ability to stretch the floor, he's been great. But I'm gonna have to give it to Scotty Barnes because again, when the category or when the race is that tight, as far as if you look at the stats, if the race is that tight, both averaging 15, both averaging nearly 8, pretty much 8 rebounds a game, both averaging, Scotty Barnes averaging 4 assists, Evan Mobley averaging 3. When it's that close, then I have to look at the team success, and because of that, I'm picking Scotty Barnes as my rookie of the year, and that's just me. Let's go to coach of the year, and coach of the year was tough for. Let me just talk about coach of the year. So to me, there's 2 clear cut front runners that a lot of people would say are front runners, which is Monty Williams from the Phoenix Suns and Taylor Jenkins of the Memphis Grizzlies. But there's a lot of coaches that you can say. There's a lot of coaches, and honestly, Taylor Jenkins and Monty Williams. Why I love Monty Williams, and I think that he was snubbed last year for the coach of the year. I don't think he's the coach of the year. I think he has the best team. Don't get me wrong. I think the Suns are the best team in the league by far this season. I think that what Taylor Jenkins is doing for the Memphis Grizzlies and having them the second overall seed in the NBA, which nobody saw coming, especially when you look at the age that the whole team. I think their average age is like 24. Taylor Jenkins has been incredible, but he's not my coach of the year. And that shows you how wide it is. I mean, you can even look at Ime Udoka. I'm sorry. What the Boston Celtics look like in the beginning of the year compared to what they look like right now at the 2 seed, there's no way that you would have thought that, the team looked dead. The team looked dead early in the season, and then they adapt, or they adapted Udoka's defensive mentality, and now they're arguably the best defense in the league. But he's not my coach of the year. And that just shows you how good of a year it was in coaching. So who is my coach of the year, you ask? To me, and this isn't a disrespect to anybody I just said. This isn't a disrespect to anybody. This is just truth. In the NBA, there are some coaching jobs that are easier than others. Let's just get that out the way now. The job that some coaches have compared to what other coaches have is drastically different. It's I'm not a coach, clearly. I wouldn't know. But I would think it's easier coaching 2 superstars than it is coaching kid or a young team like the Rockets. I would think it's easier coaching a team that has 2 or 3 top 75 players compared to a team that's struggling or that struggles or that has a lot of youth like the Grizzlies and Taylor Jenkins. Also, when you look at coaching, I look at what happened that was unexpected that you triumphed over. What was something that when it happened, it should have derailed your season, or your season should not have gone as successfully as it went because of said event? And how did you triumph over it? When we got the news that Kawhi Leonard we pretty much knew he wasn't going to play this year. I know that there's reports saying that there's hopes that he comes back. Okay. Kawhi Leonard has never come back early. But Kawhi Leonard hasn't played all year. And then on top of that, Paul George goes out for majority of the season with, I think, something in his hand or something in his elbow or something, like a tendon or something. Ty Lue lost his 2 top players. The team is built around his 2 top players, and neither one of them was there for the majority of the season. And as we currently speak, now again, I'm recording this before the playing games, which are tonight. But as we speak, the Clippers are in the play. They're the 8th seed playing in the play-in in the West against the Timberwolves. Ty Lue is my coach of the year. He's my coach of the year because not only did you lose in the NBA, the NBA is not like the NFL. You can lose a star wide receiver and still be good. You can lose a star running back. While it will affect you, you can lose a star tight end and it'll be good. The NBA is so different because you look at Golden State with or without Steph Curry. Yes, they're still good, but they look drastically different without Steph Curry. Look at the Lakers, and we'll talk about them a little later. Look at the Lakers without LeBron and AD. They're arguably unwatchable. Oh, you know what? There was a stat that came out. When one of the 3 whether it was just Russell Westbrook, whether it was just LeBron James, whether it was just Anthony Davis. When one of the three played and the other two didn't, one of the three. Granted, these are three players that are top 75, were voted as top 75 players. When one of the three played and nobody else played, or none of the other three played, they're 0-5. When two of the three played, I think they're like 11-20 something. So Ty Lue loses a former two-time Finals MVP, a former, I think, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, in Kawhi Leonard. Doesn't have him all season. Then you lose a Paul George who is at his best, especially in the regular season, a top 10, 15 player, arguably. And you still get the team to the 8th spot. Because of that, and they look good too. The Clippers look good. You have Reggie Jackson, you have Morris, you got Norman Powell, who missed a lot of who missed some time too. Robert Covington missed some time too. You have all these. Luke Kennard has been good. I have Ty Lue because of the cards that was dealt to him was not a winning hand after losing Kawhi Leonard, after losing Paul George. Yet and still, he has his team in the play-in and has a good shot to make it out of the play-in to the playoffs. Now, do I think that with them being the 8th seed, they have a chance against the Phoenix Suns? No. or the Memphis Grizzlies? No. Hell, there's no way this is going to happen. But do they have a chance to even beat the Golden State Warriors, in my opinion, with a healthy Steph Curry? No. Hell, maybe not even with a healthy Steph Curry, because Klay Thompson, we'll talk about it. But I have Ty Lue as my coach of the year. And that's no disrespect to Monty Williams. He's been great, with the Phoenix Suns, who has a recent history at least, of losing, getting them to the best record. And they are by far the best team in the league, in my opinion. Shouts out to Taylor Jenkins for having the Grizzlies where they are. Shouts out to all of them. But I still have Ty Lue as my coach of the year. Defensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion, is my. I keep saying, in my opinion, like this isn't my podcast. I keep saying that, and every time after I say it, I catch myself like, damn, like what I keep saying it. But the Defensive Player of the Year is a 2-man race, and that 2-man race is Mikal Bridges from the Phoenix Suns and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I'm going to give it to Giannis. I'm going to give it to Giannis because Giannis affects more of the floor than Mikal Bridges does. Mikal Bridges is a great on-ball defender. Shouts out for him. I think he hasn't missed a game since being in the league. So shouts out to him. He is a great on-ball defender. He is long. He is lanky. He is... Pause. He's a great on-ball defender. His instincts are incredible. He's a great help defender. He's because of his length, he's able to affect shots in a way that a lot of people don't. And he has quick feet. He is a great defender. But when you look at Giannis affects more of the floor. Giannis, you can switch Giannis on any position, and he would be dominant. He's too big for guards. And he, as we've seen countless times, he can slide to the 5 and punish you defensively. Meet you at the rim. That's why Giannis gets dunked on a lot. Giannis gets dunked on a lot because he always tries to go for the block. Now, if he gets it, it's an incredible block, as we saw in the finals against DeAndre Ayton. If he misses the block, he gets dunked on viciously, like we've seen, I think, against Jared Allen when they played the Cleveland Cavaliers. It happens, especially when you go for the block every single time. And I just think with Giannis, man, Giannis has been incredible, and Giannis is arguably the best player in the league, and that is mostly because of he is a top player in both offense and defense. And while Mikal Bridges is great, and he I think is going to finish second probably in MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to give it to Giannis. So to recap, I have my sixth man. Sixth man of the year is Tyler Hero. Rookie of the year, I have Scotty Barnes. Coach of the year, I have Ty Lue. Defensive Player of the year, I have Giannis. Now let's go to most improved. You realize quick that voters, the league has agendas sometimes. A lot of times, most times. Sometimes it's positive agenda, sometimes it's not so positive. Sometimes it's a one-way agenda, only specific for one person, only benefits one person, or it's an agenda that affects everybody. When you look at the most improved, people are saying that it's a three-person race. Jordan Poole, Miles Bridges from the Charlotte Hornets, and Ja Morant. Let me hone in on the Ja Morant inclusion. Ja Morant is a player that, unlike any player that we've seen before. No, let me not say that. Ja Morant is an incredible talent. There's no way around that one. Ja Morant is an incredible talent. Ja Morant, his athleticism, his defense now for his height, he's a one of a kind player. And I understand that when you look at the numbers, he is improved from last year to this year. But because a lot of people are putting him in the MVP conversation, and I don't think he's going to win MVP, I think a lot of people want to try to put him in a different conversation because they want him to win something. They look at this season, that the Grizzlies are having, and they want to justify it with something. So they say, hey, we know that Ja Morant's not going to win MVP, even though he's in the MVP discussion. We don't know if the Memphis Grizzlies are going to win a championship because of how tough the West is. You know, when we talk about the Suns, when we talk about the Warriors, hell, even if they do find a way to make it to the NBA Finals, maybe have to go against the Bucks, the Heat, who knows? It's tough, especially being, I think if they do win, they would be the youngest team in NBA history to win an NBA championship. So a lot of people don't want this season to go to waste. And when I say to waste, while yes, the records will still be there, they don't want the Memphis Grizzlies to not be recognized for anything. So because of that, you see they put players in categories that they probably shouldn't be in. Ja Morant should not be in the most improved player category, especially if you're an MVP candidate and you had a good season last year. You just, fell short. Not to mention the fact that I think the team is like 20-3 or 20-2 without him. Not saying that they're better without him. I'm just saying it is with the Memphis Grizzlies, while they are led by Ja Morant, while they cannot win without Ja Morant, the team they cannot win a championship. Let me not say they can't win. They cannot win a championship without Ja Morant. They're incredible. The team is incredible. So, no, Ja Morant, in my opinion, should not be in the NBA most improved player conversation. So that leaves Miles Bridges and Jordan Poole. Miles Bridges Miles Bridges reminds me of a poor man's, and this is I know I'm going to say poor man, so it's no disrespect to Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges reminds me of a poor man's Dominique Wilkins as far as the highlight reel dunks, his ability to play above the rim. Miles Bridges is great. And Miles Bridges has improved offensively. I mean, we've seen multiple 30-point games from him this year. We've seen games where, LaMelo Ball hasn't had it. Kelly Oubre is doing whatever he's doing. And the reason why they have won is because of Miles Bridges' scoring input, which is something that we really can't say happened last year. But he was solid last year. And that's something that he was good last year. He was really good last year. In fact, let me look at something real quick. What I want to do is I want to see his numbers compared from this year to last year. He played 88 games. 80 games this year. Look at you, brother. Last year, Miles Bridges averaged 12.7 points a game, so pretty much 13 points a game. This year, he averages 20. Last year, he averaged 6 points or 4.6. Wait, what the world? He averaged, give me a second. He averaged 6 rebounds. Now he averages 7. Last year, he averaged 2 assists. Now he averaged pretty much 4. So Miles Bridges has improved. Again, right now he's averaging 27 and 4. Miles Bridges has been incredible. Now let's look at Jordan Poole's input from this year to last year, or last year to this year. Jordan Poole averaging 19 points a game, three rebounds and 4 assists. Last year he averaged 12. Now it's 19. He averaged 2 assists. Now it's 4. He averaged 2 rebounds. Now it's 3. This is a close race, in my opinion. And the way that I picked who should be most improved for me was I looked at what were the expectations of both players. In turn, what did we get from said what did we get from said players? Miles Bridges coming into this season was always going to have more opportunity than Jordan, was always going to have more opportunity than Jordan Poole. You're playing alongside Lonzo or LaMelo Ball. You play more minutes than you're a starter. You're a permanent starter. And while we didn't expect 20, we expected increase because you're another year. Then they're asking more of you. They expect more of you with the pairing of LaMelo Ball and the success or the kind of the success that we saw last year from Charlotte. When you look at Jordan Poole, nothing was really expected from him. In fact, a lot of people were saying that the reason why Golden State was probably not going to be good this year was because they were waiting for Klay Thompson, they were waiting for James Wiseman, and they had a lot of youth on the team. When we look at Jordan Poole, when we look at Jonathan Kuminga, when we look at Moody, when we look at players like that, hell, Andrew Wiggins is still young. Golden State was not expected to be. They were expected to be good because you still had, Steph Curry, you still had Draymond Green until the back injury happened. But they weren't expected to be nothing. And a lot of that is because people were looking at Jordan Poole and saying, well, he's good, but we were not expecting that leap. When you look today, Jordan Poole has been incredible. Now, a lot of that is due to the fact that he had to start because of, Klay Thompson not coming back until, towards the middle of the season. Jordan Poole has been Jordan Poole's impact goes deeper than the numbers. Before, when Steph Curry didn't play, or when Steph Curry was on the bench, the team plummeted. And while no, Jordan Poole is now on the same level as Steph, the team still looks different with or without Steph Curry. It's not as bad because of the play of Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole has had some, I think he's had like, Jordan Poole has done his thing, man. And my most improved player this year goes to Jordan Poole. Because I expected, I didn't expect Miles Bridges to be averaging 20 points a game. I expected an increase from him similar to what we're seeing because of more time. You're a starter. You're playing with a point guard that is pass happy. I expected that. Jordan Poole, I didn't expect much. I expected Golden State to struggle, honestly, until they got Clay, until they got James Wiseman, which isn't happening this year. So I have Jordan Poole as my most improved player. I just think he's improved. He has improved light years of what I thought he would. So before we get to the MVP, again, Rookie of the Year, I have Scotty Barnes. Sixth Man, I have Tyler Euro. Coach of the Year, I have Ty Lue. Defensive Player of the Year, I have Giannis, which would be what? Isn't that would be Giannis' second Defensive Player of the Year, I think. Second consecutive Defensive Player of the Year, actually. And most improved, I have Jordan Poole. Now we get to the big award. And the hardest award. And I say the hardest award because somebody will get snubbed. And somebody who will lose that deserves to win. Now, somebody that wins, of course, deserves to win, but somebody that loses deserves to win, and they just won't because somebody, they're just not going to win. And there are so many names. I talked about this maybe a couple episodes previous. There's a couple names that you can throw in here. You can throw in a John Morant. You can throw in a Devin Booker. You can throw in a Jason Tatum. You can throw in a Kevin Durant. You can throw in a Steph Curry. You can throw in a Luka Doncic. It's gonna be this race. There's an argument for at least 6 people. Now there are 3, the ones that Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Jokic, that are leaps and bounds above the rest. But if you woke up today or woke up tomorrow and heard that Jason Tatum won the MVP, you're like, how did Jason Tatum win the MVP? And then you look, when you look at how the Boston Celtics looked in the beginning of the year to the end, and Jason Tatum has been, actually his game has increased in season, I understand that. If you woke up and saw that Devin Booker won MVP, you're like, how the hell did Devin Booker? Well, the Phoenix Suns are the number 1 team in the league by a wide margin, and they did miss Chris Paul for a good portion of the end of the season, and they still were beating people. And Devin Booker has been great. Oh, I get it. If you woke up and heard, and John Morant won MVP. How did John Morant? Well. Nobody expected the Memphis Grizzlies to be, second in the league. And while, the Grizzlies are like 20-2 without him, everybody knows that they're not winning a championship without him. So I can understand it. Hell, you can, if you look and said, damn, woke up and heard, damn, Luka won MVP? How did Luka win MVP? Well, if you look at the roster, there's no reason why the Mavericks should be 4th at all. Even after, especially after losing, or trading away Kristaps Porzingis. And again, the roster injuries too. When we talk about Maxi Kleber, when we talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. But Luka has been incredible, and he got them to the 4th overall seed. Yeah, I understand. Hell, you can even say, if you wake up tomorrow and say, wait, Steph Curry won the MVP? Wait, what? Well, Golden State is fourth or third in the West. Steph Curry did, break the 3-point record. Okay. They did miss some time, but he played, 64 games, I think, out of 82. Golden State does look drastically better with or without him. Not as bad as it's been in past years, but there's a reason why people still revere Steph Curry as, one of the best players in the league. So I get it. That shows you how good this year has been. There's arguments for multiple people. But to me, it's a three-headed race. It's Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic. Let's start with why Giannis could win. Well, first and foremost, Giannis is arguably the best player in the league. If you ask a lot of people, he's the best player in the league because he's arguably the best defender. He's one of the most unstoppable players in the league. He's improved his shot. He has the Milwaukee Bucks third in the East. They don't look like they losing to anybody in the West or East anytime soon. Giannis has been incredible. Giannis, if you look, I think he's like top 10 in almost every category. As far as points, averaging 30 points a game, I think. Rebounds, blocks. Giannis has just been that good. And people are starting to take Giannis's greatness for granted, like greatness as, it's just Giannis. But the things that we're seeing Giannis doing is something I don't think we've ever seen before. Not even now. I'm not saying that he's better than LeBron, like totality wise, but he's doing things that we've never seen LeBron do, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So that's why Giannis could win. Why could Joel Embiid win? Well, he's the first international player ever in the NBA to lead the league in scoring for a season. This is the first center since Shaq to lead the league in scoring. The first center to lead the league in scoring while averaging 30 points a game since Moses Malone did it. The Philadelphia 76ers went through a lot this year when we talk about Ben Simmons, when we talk about injuries, when we talk about the trade for James Harden and the fact that James Harden hasn't really played his best recently. Yet Joel Embiid has been consistent all year. Joel Embiid is arguably the best center in the league. And his numbers back that up. Again, the first foreign player, international player, to lead the league in scoring ever. And the first player since Moses Malone to average 30 points, the first center since Moses Malone to average 30 points a game. He's been incredible. That's why Joel Embiid could win. Why can Nikola Jokic win? Nikola Jokic is arguable. Actually, it's really not that arguable. He's played with the least amount of talent when we talk about Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic. Well, yes, you can say Aaron Gordon, but Aaron Gordon has been inconsistent, especially when you look at the beginning of the year. Nikola Jokic does things that we have never seen. I mean, he's the first player in NBA history to have 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in one season. And he's a center. And all three of these players are record breakers. I mean, again, Giannis will probably be one of... Actually, Giannis might be the first foreign player since maybe Dirk. Well, no, not even there. Giannis will be probably the first foreign player that can honestly say is the best player in the world. I know you had Akeem Olajuwon, but then you still had, I mean, there's still an argument. You still had like young Shaq. You still had Jordan. Even though Akeem did win those 2 championships when Jordan was out, but yeah, Giannis probably gonna go down as the first international player that you can honestly say is the best player in the league currently. Joel Embiid can go down as arguably one of the best scoring bigs the league has ever seen. And that is in a league with Hakeem Olajuwon. That's in a league with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's in a league with Wilt Chamberlain. That's in a league with, or that had Shaq. Now, I'm not saying he's better than them currently. What I'm saying is his Joel Embiid has been incredible. Again, the first international player to lead the league in scoring. And he is a center. And then Nikola Jokic, man, to be that big and have such good guard skills is something that man. So the question is, who do I have winning the MVP? Because this race is so tight, you can't really go on the wins because Milwaukee Bucks, they're second. The Philadelphia 76ers, they're third, and Jokic, I think they're sixth in the West. A West that is loaded. The East is loaded too. Let me not disrespect the East, but I've gone back and forth for a while, but with me going back and forth, I've kind of hit the same person every time. My MVP is Nikola Jokic. My MVP, the whole 2,000, 1,500 thing just is the icing on the cake. But I look at kind of the same way I look at Ty Lue winning the Coach of the Year, in my opinion. You are playing without arguably your best scorer or person that can go get their own bucket. And you're losing your best scorer in Jamal Murray. Hasn't played all year, won't play all year. You're losing your second best scorer in Michael Porter Jr. So even with all that, players coming in out the lineups, players not really living up to what or not really stepping up to the plate as far as having to play better. And you've still had this team not only sixth, but you're putting up numbers because you have to put up those numbers. Because don't get me wrong, the Denver Nuggets are going nowhere without Nikola Jokic. Nowhere. I don't care if Steph Curry plays or not. If Nikola Jokic is not playing in the first round of the playoffs, they're not in the first round of the playoffs. That is the Denver Nuggets. This Nikola Jokic is so good, right? They have a chance. Now, of course, it also depends on Steph Curry, but they can beat Golden State first round. We'll talk about it a tad bit later with the playoff predictions, but yeah, they could, because no one on Golden State, no one in the West has an answer for Nikola Jokic. Now, for people, DeAndre Ayton did it last year. Okay. Or was it the fact that he was the only player on the floor? So, I have Nikola Jokic winning the MVP. I just think he's had to do more with less. Because don't get me wrong, Joel Embiid hasn't had Ben Simmons all year, but he still had Seth Curry before he was traded. You still have Matisse Thybulle, who can possibly or probably will land on one of the all-defensive teams. You still have Tobias Harris, which a lot of people, including myself, like to give Tobias Harris crap, but he's a good option. He's not a number one option. I don't even think he's a number two option at this point, but he's a really good number three option. And now you have James Harden. And Giannis, I mean, the Bucks as a whole is great. So I have Nikola Jokic winning the MVP. Those are my awards. Who do you think I left out? Who do you think should win any of these awards? Let me know. Again, I don't. Yes, LeBron James has been incredible, but I don't think he should win MVP, especially when we look at how the Lakers finished. I don't. Yeah, those are my winners. Let me know how you feel. So, moving forward, again, while I'm recording this is before the play-in games, so I don't know who made out the play-in. If I can predict, if you look at the West, the play-ins are the Pelicans, the Sacramento Kings, the San Antonio Kings, San Antonio, yeah, what? Oh, Jesus. You have the New Orleans Pelicans at 9, the San Antonio Spurs at 10. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that the San Antonio Spurs beat the Pelicans because the Pelicans have looked bad this last few games. And then you have Minnesota at 7 going against the Clippers at 8. I'm going to go with Minnesota because they arguably Actually, I'm gonna go with the Clippers. I'm gonna go with the Clippers. That means that the San Antonio Spurs and the Minnesota Timberwolves will be playing. I have the Timberwolves winning that. So the first round, I have Phoenix Suns and Timberwolves, and I have the Clippers and Memphis. So in the West, in my opinion, it's a three-headed monster, 3-team race. It is Phoenix, it is Golden State, and it is Memphis. Not in that order. Well, outside of Phoenix being number 1. I do think that we do need to see the severity of Luka Doncic's calf strain, because as we've seen, it can either be, you don't really play with calf strains because it could be tough. And that, in my opinion, decides who wins between Utah and Dallas, because kind of like Denver, I don't think that the team has a shot without their best. I don't think that Dallas has a shot without Luka Doncic, and Denver for sure does not have a shot without Jokic. Golden State is a tough one for me. It's a tough one because we need to see how good Steph Curry is. If Steph Curry comes back from the ligament strain and he looks bad, then Denver could very well win this matchup. If he comes back and looks incredible and Jordan Poole still looks good and looks like Klay Thompson kind of got his feet back, looks like Draymond Green's playing a lot better, Andrew Wiggins is playing decent, they have a chance to make it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. And honestly, they could beat the Phoenix Suns. Again, it's a 2-man race, in my opinion, in the West. Or a 3-man race, I'm sorry. Phoenix, Memphis, and Golden State. When Golden State is healthy. Now, again, that's all based on Steph Curry at this point. So that's the West. In the East, you have Brooklyn and Cleveland in the play-in. I have Brooklyn. I mean, yeah. I have Brooklyn, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, yeah. Then in the 9-10, you have Atlanta Hawks and Charlotte. I have Atlanta. That means that Cleveland and Atlanta will be playing, and due to their size, I'm going to go with Cleveland. So I have Cleveland going against the Heat. I have Brooklyn going against Boston. Yeah. To me, this is, I don't see a way that Cleveland upsets Miami. I don't see that at all. I don't really see. I guess my spoiler alert. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to sweep the Bulls. I just don't think the Bulls have not been good all year against top talent. Yes, they're 46-36, but they have done what they're supposed to do, and that's feast on the lower level teams. Like, they're not. No, Milwaukee is gonna boat race them, and Philly has a very tough matchup with Toronto, especially seeing how Matisse Thybulle, who was not vaccinated, is not allowed, which is crazy, is not allowed or will not be permitted to play in Toronto, which is huge. There's nobody that has more pressure, in my opinion, in these playoffs than James Harden because of, how the exit went with Houston, and then how the exit went with, not just that, how the exit went with Houston, and the fact that James Harden wasn't right last year in the playoffs. And you can say that that's a big reason due to his injury, that was the big reason why Brooklyn didn't make it past Milwaukee. And of course, Kyrie Irving wasn't there. So yeah. Now, it's very interesting. The 2 and the 7, which I think will be Boston and Brooklyn. Boston has been incredible. Brooklyn has 2 players that can go nuclear on you, clearly. You have Kyrie Irving, you have Kevin Durant. That can go nuclear. Both can go for 50 easily. Both can go for 60 easily. Outside of that, though, you have Seth Curry, who's good. Andre Drummond, who's all right. That's it. Patty Mills is cool. A lot of people are saying that reports are saying that Ben Simmons can come back as soon as round 1. Ben Simmons, for people that don't remember, Ben Simmons' camp said that he was out, at least when he was with Philly, because of mental health issues. And now it's a back issue. So let's just throw away the back issue right now. Which, by the way, actually, let's bring that back issue back. You have to get an epidural. The only time I hear about epidurals are pregnant women, and that's when they aren't able to take the pain of the pregnancy and labor and stuff. So if a pregnant woman, and I'm not saying that's the only time, but that's the most often I hear about epidurals is pregnant women. When the pain is just too severe during labor, and you had to get that for your back. You expect this man, not only who's dealing with mental health issues apparently, and has to get epidural on his back, you expect that man to, his first game back since last playoffs is this playoffs? Nah, I don't see it. And if he does come back, I don't see him being effective. That's just me. But it's interesting. Boston is a better team all in all. But Brooklyn has the 2 best players. Well, they have the best player. I can argue about Jason Tatum and Kyrie Irving, but they have the best player, at least Brooklyn does, in Kevin Durant. So that'll be a very interesting matchup. I don't think the injury to Robert Williams will affect Boston in the first round if they are able to beat Brooklyn. But once you move forward and you got to go against Milwaukee, yeah. So that 2-7 matchup is going to be interesting. I think that I just don't see either Boston or Brooklyn beating Milwaukee, honestly, due to the fact that I don't see it. And then, of course, if and when Brooklyn loses, we will talk about it on the show as in, is this a failed season? So that's out of both conferences. Again, now we'll talk about it every episode when something happens. Of course, in the playoffs, I'll definitely recap on everything that happens. But in the West, it's a 3-team race, and in the East. Honestly, in the East, I can in the East, and to me, it's a 1-team race because I don't see anybody beating Milwaukee in 4 games. Especially Milwaukee is healthy. I don't see anybody in the East beating Milwaukee 4 times, but we'll talk about it. So let's move forward. You know what I'm starting to learn? I'm starting to learn that one of the hardest things for some people is to be self-aware. I didn't think it was that tough. I didn't think it was that challenging. But for some people, it is extremely hard to be self-aware. We've talked about this ad nauseum these last 2 episodes, actually. Lakers didn't make the play-in, didn't make the playoffs then, didn't make the playoffs then, didn't make the playoffs, failed season, fired Frank Vogel. Actually, they fired Frank Vogel after leaking he will be fired to the press. So they leaked it first, didn't tell him, had to learn from a press conference that he was getting fired. Then learned that from the press conference, didn't fire him till the next day, which is crazy. So I'm not here ad nauseum to place blame on anybody about the Lakers season. We've talked about it. I'm not here to bash anybody. There's no need to do that. What I will say is that word, or those two words, self-aware. So with the season being over, the Los Angeles Lakers have exit interviews and exit, I guess, media availability. LeBron James was up there. He said he had no clue that Frank Vogel was being fired. Okay. All the players pretty much went up. And then Russell Westbrook went up. And Russell Westbrook took it upon himself to not only pretty much bash Frank Vogel, recently fired Frank Vogel, he also proceeded to pretty much say he doesn't understand how the season ended, how it ended, and he wasn't given a fair shot to be himself. Russell Westbrook. Russie, Brody. It wasn't Frank Vogel's fault. It wasn't LeBron's fault. It wasn't Anthony Davis' fault. It wasn't Rob Pelinka's fault. It wasn't Jeannie Buss's fault. It was none of the people I just listed above. Why you were missing layups, dunks, why you would shoot from the right side of the paint, or right side of the free throw line, and hit the corner of the backboard. It still blows my mind how people that don't hoop, people that don't play basketball, do you understand how tough that is to hit the corner of the backboard while facing that side of the backboard? It wasn't none of those players, none of those coaches, none of the people in ownership that had you finish second in the league in turnovers. First by far on your team. It wasn't none of them that had your shot percentage go down again this year. Yo, look. Did we think that we as basketball fans, as everybody outside of the Lakers organization, clearly, did we think that Russell Westbrook and LeBron James were going to work together? No. What we didn't we knew that was going to happen. We knew that it wasn't going to be the perfect pairing. We knew that wasn't going to just mesh. What we did not expect was for Russell Westbrook to be god-awful offensively unwilling to change next to in a lot of people's eyes, the greatest player of all time. He was unwilling to change. He was unwilling to not take shots that he can't take. He finished second in the league, I believe, in turnovers. Second in turnovers. And I think the only reason why he didn't finish first is because he missed like the last 2 games of the season, I think. So no. It's not, no, yeah. It's all I'm saying, man, is just be self-aware. Yeah, your relationship. And he said, Russell Westbrook said that he's never had a bad relationship with a coach. Russell Westbrook's had 2 coaches. Yeah. He's had Scott Brooks and Billy Donovan. Oh, and now 3 coaches. And now Frank Vogel. He's had 2 coaches, Scott Brooks and Billy Donovan, who have a notorious history of allowing stuff to just happen and not saying nothing. The reason why he hasn't had a problem with his coaches is because they have not held him accountable for playing reckless, for playing wild, for always being up there in turnovers. They haven't, because he's Russell Westbrook, because he's an MVP player, because he's triple-double, because he's a top 75 player, whatever. They don't say nothing. Hell, that's one of the biggest reasons why you heard the Lakers tried to get Scott Brooks as an assistant coach so they can tame Russell Westbrook. It's not taming Russell Westbrook. It is not telling him the truth. Like, bro, Russell Westbrook is incredible. Russell Westbrook will go down as one of the best players the league has ever seen. That doesn't mean that Russell Westbrook is not terrible at shooting the ball. It doesn't mean that Russell Westbrook is not terrible at decision making at times, i.e., some of the dumbest turnovers I've seen. Now, again, I know it seems like I'm up. I'm not. I know, I can hear the people clicking now. You never played in the NBA. Okay. Cool. I can hear people now. You don't know how it is. Yo, hold up. Russell Westbrook finished. Damn, Luka. Russell Westbrook. So these are all the Russell Westbrook, right? There's no. Damn. I'm going to correct myself. He didn't finish second in turnovers. Luka Doncic averaged 4.5 turnovers a game. Trae Young averaged 4. James Harden averaged 4.4. Russell Westbrook. Give me a second. Russell Westbrook averaged 4. He's in the 4 club. It's just self-aware, man. I'm not saying that the Lakers season failures was on Russell Westbrook, but he for damn sure didn't make it better. And for your exit interview to pretty much target your comments at Frank Vogel, who, by the way, I don't think deserved to be fired, especially when you look at what the hell he was given to work with. I don't think he should have been fired, but I mean, he just 18 months ago, he won you a championship. So you're telling me that person is just drastically worse now? Okay. And this is also a coach that, do I think Frank Vogel is a great coach? No. Do I think he's a good coach? I think he's all right. He's always one of the top teams in defense, except for this year when he had none of his players. And even if he had all his players, like what are you doing outside of Anthony Davis and maybe LeBron? What are you doing defensively? Who is your defensive? What's happening? No. So all I'm saying, Westbrook, is just be a little more self-aware, which I'm starting to realize that is a lot harder than I thought it would be. So, that man said the Lakers never gave me a fair shot. Lakers fans are funny, man. All I heard was Lakers never gave me a fair shot. And all of a sudden, all I started seeing was Russell Westbrook low-light highlight tapes and stuff. Like, damn. That was like part 5, part 6 of the season. Like, Jesus. So, lastly, before we go, man, I just want to congratulate all the women that were drafted in the WNBA draft, 2 days ago, Monday. The Atlanta Dream selected Ryan Howard first. She is, I think she's like the fourth Kentucky player basketball. She's the fifth, I think, Kentucky player ever to get selected number 1 in their sport. I know Karl Anthony Towns, John Wall. There's a football player too. I forgot his name, and Anthony Davis. So now it's Ryan Howard. So shouts out to her. Shouts out to all the women, man. Yo, I don't understand. So the WNBA is 3 rounds. WNBA draft is 3 rounds. I don't want to end this on a gripe, but I have to. The WNBA is 3 rounds. 12 teams in the WNBA. Meaning, if you're good at math, which I like to think that I am, that's 36 picks. And the speed in which they were picking, they would pick somebody, walk to the side of the stage, talk to Howie Rowe. While Howie Rowe is talking to them, the commissioner's coming back for the next pick. I'm like, God, like they flying. So 3 rounds, 36 total picks. To put that into perspective, the NBA is 2 rounds, have 30 teams. That's 60 picks. The NFL is what, 7 rounds? 8 rounds? 30 picks. 32 teams. The WNBA is 12 teams. 3 rounds. And you telling me that you couldn't highlight every single player? Because I looked up. I'm like, wait. Who? Wait, what? How are we already on the 10th pick in round 3? I didn't hear or see none of these people. Their names just kept, the name on the bottom of the ticker. The Indiana Fever's pick is in, or the Washington Mystics pick is in. Like, wait, are we going to highlight these people? You can't tell me that you crunch for time. That's 36 young ladies are their dreams are coming true and making it to the WNBA. You telling me that we only saw a round full? Maybe a round full. Well, not even that. We saw probably 10, 15 young ladies, which, by the way, they all look great. They all look great, from the dresses to they're either wearing suits. Their families were looking great. They invited a whole bunch of people there and didn't really talk to all of them, now I think about it. I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense, man. The WNBA, I know, I understand they're trying to expand and trying to get better, but why don't you highlight some of the people? These women busted their ass to get here. And just now, yes, I know the ultimate goal, of course, is to make it to the WNBA, but at least highlight them. Don't just don't just have Holly Rowe talking to Destiny Henderson, and while she's talking to Destiny Henderson, shouts out to Destiny Henderson, shouts out to Holly Rowe. While Holly Rowe was talking to Destiny Henderson, 3 picks go by. 3. I'm like, wait, hold on. Are we gonna hear about them? Hold on. Are we gonna talk to them? Oh shoot, another. Wait, are we? I know you're still talking to Destiny, which she looks great, and she just won national championship. But are we gonna talk about the young lady that just got drafted? Oh no. Oh okay. They did that all night, bro. The end of the show, ceremony, whatever you want to call it, the draft. The end of the draft, like, showed the last. It didn't even show like this pick is in. It showed like the last 5-6 picks in a row. No, it didn't be like, it was a graphic, each one vertical. You know, they pick him, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, wait, are we gonna hear any of them names? We're just gonna read it. Okay. I don't know, man. I'm not bashing the WNBA because, you know, this is WNBA and there's some incredible women that play in the WNBA. Also, we still trying to get Brittany Griner home. But y'all gotta do better, man. I gotta do better. Like, it can't be that hard to show 36 picks, especially. And I know money wise is different, but especially when the NFL has an extra. The NFL, we see the NFL has highlights for damn near everybody that gets drafted from the first round to the last pick. And we see those highlights. They talk about them ad nauseum. So, oh man, I don't know. Also, shouts out to Shakira Austin for getting, and what's her name? Shakira Austin for getting drafted to the is it Wilson? Charlie Wilson? Shakira Austin, and I believe Charlie Wilson. If I mess up your name, I apologize. But shouts out to you two for getting drafted to the Washington Mystics. Shakira Austin is actually she went to Maryland. She did transfer to Ole Miss, but she's from the DMV area. So shouts out to them for getting drafted. Shouts out to all the young women for getting drafted. The rant or whatever, the gripe or whatever isn't about you. It's about, I want the WNBA to highlight their product more than they do. And for starters, you can show the entire draft. You know what I'm saying? So, but there you have it. That's been, there you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. If you want a Popular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve, joggers, the link is in the description below. It's getting hot out there. Go get your short sleeve shirts. Go get the Unpopular Podcast merch. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Whatever you want, I got you. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to wherever you're listening, any DSPs. Rate, comment, like, share. I'm trying to get the algorithms going, and that's the only way I can do that is with you guys' help. I appreciate you guys. And until next time, much love.